All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be touching on the top prop bets this Thursday on both PrizePicks and Underdog. Going to be talking about NBA. We have a 3-game slate there. Going to be talking about some college basketball prop bets. Not really NHL. There's not much going on there. And a little bit of the NFL as well. Let's go and get into it. But first, just a quick recap from yesterday. Yesterday, not a good day, guys. 2-4-6 on the day. Kind of a natural regression back to the mean after, being on a pretty good hot streak over really the past 2 weeks now. We look at this one here. Kind of mentioned this. If Grady Dick was going to have an off night shooting like he did, chances are RJ Barrett would not be able to get his over assist. Did like the fact that we could do that bet slip though, where it correlated pretty well and the payout wasn't being shifted at all. We can see that game total just ended up being a blowout. And that's also what happened with Kyrie Irving as well. I know he's at like 15 points at half. I believe he was at 17 though. So he didn't score that many points after the fact as well. Now, guys, the board that we have today is a pretty loaded board in general, so I kind of want to just go through each prop bet that's kind of popping up. I mean, we have several prop bets that give us that over 54% edge on PrizePicks. That obviously gives us that long-term edge on PrizePicks. Let's start with the first one. So we got Stephen Castle to get under his fantasy score, which is one that somewhat worries me a little bit, mostly just because they're going to be without a few players here. The Spurs are. They're going to be without Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, and then also Trey Jones, but he hasn't really played that much. We're not too worried about that. What I worry about, though, with this one specifically is the fact that he gets the second most minutes out of anyone with those players off the court. And if you look at his per 36 production, he does get the over there, about 28 fantasy points per 36. But let's jump into the NBA tab so we can see how many minutes he's actually projected to get tonight. All right, so we don't have a projection for the minutes just yet, assuming that's just a little bit too early on in the day for a player like him. So we'll take a peek at yesterday's minutes, 25 minutes. And this is the back end of a back-to-back. They did get kind of blown out last game. And so I don't know if he's actually going to see more minutes or not, because all the other starters actually saw a significantly reduced amount of minutes, and he actually saw more minutes. And so if that continues where, his normal minutes around 20 minutes, then I do see him getting the under here. So it's kind of a weird spot here with this one, where typically speaking, when we have a lot of big contributors out, I tend to want to bet the opposite, or I tend to want to find an edge with the player being out, with players being out. And I would have assumed that he would get more minutes, thus his over fantasy score would be the way to go. So overall, not exactly one we need to go crazy with, but I do like the fact that the projection data agrees. I do like the fact that the average sportsbook line is telling us to bet the under one. Another one that we have is Kamara to get under his fantasy score in that same game as well. And so he is projected to get 21 minutes in this game. He is someone that has been pretty solid and has been playing a lot of minutes as well. But we do see that the minutes have been kind of spread out as well for him. So I would argue those minutes projections, again, probably closer to wrong, honestly. I'd probably expect him to be closer to his 27 minutes in this game. And if he does that, yeah, this is going to be a tight line. So definitely another interesting one here. Another interesting one in terms of like the fantasy score, Dante DiVincenzo. We do see the projection data is favoring the over here. I would assume that this has more to do with this game potentially being a blowout. 8.5 point favorites are the Minnesota Timberwolves. So more of a bet on him probably just not gaining his minutes. He has been someone that has been pretty hot shooting the basketball lately as well. So maybe there's a chance that he does have a little bit of a cold night shooting. Just kind of regress back to the mean there a little bit. I could see that. These are all three bets that I will be making, but also not particularly excited to make at the same time. Mike Conley to get over his fantasy score, I don't mind. He is someone that, when comparing him against Dante DiVincenzo, where the day is telling us about the under, I would rather bet the over with Mike Conley, just simply because this is a pretty good matchup going against Chicago. And if we can get like a block or a steal, which he typically does, I mean, there's a few games in there where he gets multiple blocks and steals. If we can really get one of those, I think he has a good chance to get this over. And then also in this same game, which I don't know if I like it, we do see Vucevic is favored to get his over fantasy score. The defense has gone a little bit worse guarding opposing bigs. A little bit surprising, but I guess that has to do with Julius Randle. He has kind of been a double-double machine there, Vucevic. But at the same time, this line that we're getting is a pretty low line. He's really just been able to crush this over for the most part. So I can get behind that. I can kind of get behind doing a little bit of a game stack here with what the data is suggesting that we do there. So I don't mind those ones. We also have some other ones that are kind of popping up here as well. But this is not just an NBA video. So let's go ahead and get into some college basketball. And there really isn't too many like big edges here, guys. We got Max Clement to get under his 3.5 rebounds. I'm a Wisconsin fan. I Didn't think they played all too well last game. I don't know. I don't really want to touch them right now. We have Steven Crowell to get under his fantasy score. That's a popular bet right now. We do see that the average sportsbook line has him closer to 25.7, which if you kind of look at his game log, he has been struggling. Now he should be stepping into a bigger role this year, but the fact that he only had 20 points against Holy Cross, like that's kind of crazy. And they did end up blowing them out. So I can get behind betting the under here. But that's only has a 52% likelihood to hit. So obviously we don't want to go crazy with that. But if you guys are looking for a college basketball bet, I don't mind that. And while we're at it as well, I don't hate like doing Clayton Jr. for over his fantasy score, but at the same time, it would feel like we're forcing it. No need to really go out of our way to do that. So yeah, not much there for college basketball. Let's jump into the NFL, because the NFL, as it sits right now, guys, on this Thursday, we are getting a decent amount of bets that we can be targeting. So we got Brian Robinson Jr. to get under his touchdowns, anytime touchdowns. I don't know if we exactly need to go out of our way to target that one. At the same time, very difficult matchup against Pittsburgh. So he has been someone that has been used a decent amount. He is coming back from an injury as well, so maybe doesn't get his full workload. I get why the under is being favored here, and I don't want to say I'm happy to bet it, but I will be betting it. I can kind of get behind that one. Zay Flowers for under his fantasy score in this high scoring game, 53 points. I don't want to bet that. I'm staying away from that. Justin Jefferson to get over 6.5 receptions. I'm okay with that. If we're against Jacksonville, if we're getting Justin Jefferson bets that are telling us to bet the over, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm pretty excited to do that, actually. Another one, this has went up from yesterday, so hopefully you guys watched my props video, preview video for Thursday Night Football. I think we are getting some good edges there, but it's telling us to bet the over fantasy score for Joe Burrow. I still like that, but we already got our edges there. I already got plenty of exposure to him at over 19 for a fantasy score on both sides, so no need to really go crazy with that. Ramondre Stevenson to get under his rush attempts is certainly an interesting one. This could be an ugly game against Chicago, where both teams are not really able to move the football that much offensively, and maybe it is a game where it's 20 carries for 50 yards for Stevenson. I could see that happening, where it's just a time of possession game. This is one where I get why the under is being favored. At the same time, it's not one that I'm particularly excited to go out of my way to target, but we have so many decent profits that are popping up here. James Conner to get over his anytime touchdowns. Going against the Jets, who have not been as good lately. James Conner has looked great. I'm kind of okay with that. I would rather do the Stevenson receptions prop that we're getting here. We got Chad Ryland for over his kicking points. Like, this board is loaded. Deontay Johnson's an interesting one. I don't know if I exactly want to bet this, but this is going to be a high-scoring game. He has had a few more days of practice. You would imagine that he would get more than the 30% of snaps that he had last week. So an interesting bet there. If you guys want to bet that, I wouldn't talk you out of it. It's not particularly one that I need to make, but I probably will make it tonight, where I'm just betting on the game. So Joe Burrow over fantasy score, Deontay Johnson over fantasy score. I probably will go that route as well. Like, I'm fine with that. And we also have Jamar Chase to score a touchdown in this game. Like, that's a decent one. So plenty of NFL bets as well, guys. And then real quickly, NHL, just showing you guys really no big edges here, like we've come to expect, because well, they just don't like us. They PrizePicks and Underdog, they just don't like NHL. They if you guys are an NHL fan, they hate you is pretty much the messaging that they're giving us there. They're like, don't bet on it. We don't want your money, NHL fans. We hate you. I'm mostly joking there. Some interesting edges here right now for PGA. These stroke props should not be occurring. And so what's happening right now is, and I want to sort by edge as well, because, oh no, we're good. Some lines have changed. This is crazy. So this is the nice thing about PGA, is that we get a lot of prop line differences here. This, some of my biggest wins betting has been PGA props, where we are getting these prop line differences. They should never be off by one. Now, the reason that they're off by one is because the course is playing a little bit more difficult in round one than last year. So last year, the tournament, it was the first time a tournament took place at this course, which means that they tend to play a little bit easier. They don't want to make the golfers mad or anything like that. They want the golfers to have good vibes. They want them to come back. So they typically play a little bit easier. And then in year two, the course will play a little bit more difficult. That's what we're seeing here. But also on top of that, guys, the course will probably play harder because the wind is expected to get greater. So we have some decent edges there. I'm happy to honestly bet all of these. You kind of have to pick your spots though, because the payout would be reduced. So I think I'd rather bet the overs on the underdog. But again, these should not be happening. This should not be happening. This is crazy. And so for PGA, that's like going to be part of the bet of the day, is just taking advantage of these mineral opportunities if they are still available for you guys. Like that, again, just shouldn't be happening. So we'll take a quick quick peek at the Underdog board. But before we do that, do want to remind you guys of the promo code that's going on the 9to5 website. Use the promo code Keep Cashing, get 20% off your first 9to5 membership. That'll make the $10 a month membership just $8 for the first month. Take advantage of that, guys. It's a good kind of way to introduce yourself to just easier, more logical bets. That's kind of the easiest way to look at it. But let's go ahead and get into Underdog sheet. A little bit more of a tighter board today on Underdog. Not as many fruitful bets, but still plenty there. We got Drake May under rush yards. We see that's off by a decent amount compared to PrizePicks. We got Keyshawn Williams for under his receiving yards, mostly compared to the sportsbook. That's a decent one. TJ Hawkinson under 3.5 receptions. That's not one that I want to do particularly. We have some decent ones. Shout out to Chuba Hubbard for just getting paid. Good for him. Not as many bets popping up here today. Some okay ones for sure. We have Kazir White for under tackles and assists, 7.5. It's a good way to get some action on tonight's slate. Sure, I'd be fine tossing that one in there. 53.67%. That's okay. I'm fine with that. And then don't like the fact that the projection day is liking the over here for receiving yards, but some okay edges here. And so with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into the bets of the day today. Again, so many good bets, and so many bets that if they're not taking place tonight, like Justin Jefferson over 6.5 receptions, by all means make those bets. I tend to make these bets of the day, bets for today, because obviously that's mostly why people are watching, is try to get the best bets for today. So that's what we're going to be doing here. And guys, make sure to leave a like on the video. That's really been helping out the channel a ton, honestly. I know you guys don't see it like behind the scenes, but that's really just helping the video be recommended to more people on YouTube, which just does help out the channel a bunch. All right, so looking at, guys, this would be my bet of the day here for PGA, and it's going to be. I'm going to measure that. That'll be in the description below, just tracking that all. When I refer to yesterday's slate, as in today's slate on tomorrow's recap, I will be talking about this, but also the other stuff. And the reason I'm kind of separating it out is just simply because these PGA props, and you could even toss in more, like the payout does get shifted down, but these are good edges. Like that should not be happening. So what I'm going to be doing is running out the opposite, but let's actually take it a step further. Let's toss in one more PGA prop. Now, this does reduce the payout, but not as much as I would have thought again, we're betting on the course. This is basically like doing a stack of, let's say if we included Jamar Chase over 0.5 anytime touchdowns with Joe Burrow over fantasy score, that would reduce the payout more than putting these in here together. So that's a good edge. But as also, guys, like we are running out the exact opposite on Underdog. That will be the bet of the day on Underdog, is running out the exact opposite of these three. Sure, we'll do that, but it really doesn't matter. Just, mix and match. If you want to do two slip bets with those, by all means go for it. Like, that should not be happening. We just hopefully we can be in the middle of it. Hopefully they all shoot, like, let's say 70 for Joel Damon. Hopefully, 68, 69. Yeah. Hopefully that's what happens with these, where we are in the middle. Chances are that is what's going to happen. That should not be happening. That's what that's telling us. But kind of a more official one, especially just because you guys should be subscribed to the channel. You should have your notifications on for when I post the video, so that you can take advantage of these bets like instantly, and I say that because the PGA ones, they're going to start like an hour to 2 hours after I post this video, which is a little bit unfortunate. I get that, but so I'm not including those here because of that. I want to help out the most amount of people as possible. So here we go. I did go with Brian Robinson Jr. for less than touchdowns. That's just such a great prop bet. If you guys want to include Justin Jefferson over 6.5 receptions, by all means go for it. But then we're just going with some of the top prop bets that we have on the board today. So that's going to be all, guys. Again, make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want access to any of the tools, head on over to 9to5sports.com. They'll give you access to all the tools for just $10 a month. When you use the promo code Keep Cashing, get the first month for just $8. Take advantage of that, guys. Again, give a like, give a subscribe, comment your favorite prop bet. That's going to be all. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.